And there we are. Good afternoon, Rich.
What's up, Douglas?
Um, well, I think it's time for another podcast.
Podcast.
And happy Easter, by the way.
It is Easter. Happy Easter to you. Did you have a good one?
It is. Yes, yeah, we had Gina's family over. Did some barbecuing for Easter.
Oh, sounds good.
Mom came over.
Nice. Family time.
You tried to call us a few times.
Tried to call her a couple times. I knew I was going to talk to you this evening. I knew I was going to talk to you
Huh?
this evening, so I didn't try to call you. But
Yeah. And then we just also talked to somebody else, didn't we?
just talked to our Lucid,
We
our other
talked to
brother.
Lucid. We talked to Lucid. We could have kept him on the call, I guess.
We started the day. So you started the day with barbecue? Is that what you like?
Well, no, we started the day getting the house ready. I barbecued. I started barbecuing about 11, and everybody showed up about 1:30.
Oh, nice. We actually started the day with Jesus rising from the grave at our house, um, and then we went
Like,
to church.
did you like bury him out in the yard, and he like came?
No, no, he rose, and then we went to church, and church was crazy packed. And then we went out for brunch, and then we came home and walked the doggies, and yeah, it's been a great day. Good day.
We did church at home.
We were going to go to church last night because they were having a 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock service. So we like going on Saturday nights sometimes, just so I don't want to say to get it over with because that wouldn't sound right. But no, we like to go on Saturday nights sometimes to for it to be done, and then we then we have our Sunday free kind of
For
So,
it to be
but
done.
but Jesus dying on the cross and then raising, coming out of the grave alive 3 days later wasn't as important as the Illinois basketball game that Steph wanted to watch on Saturday night. So we waited we waited till this morning to go, and yeah. Anyway, there's that.
So so anyway, we're here in episode 7 of Loud, Loose, and Laughs, and we're going to talk about the movies. And as our lawyers always say, everything you hear is our own opinions and not the opinions of any other entity.
Hey, Doug,
So we can get that out of the way.
I do have to add
But
to that.
I need to know. Okay, go ahead.
I have to add to the opinion things because, dude, when I was looking, with the subject matter we're going to talk about today, when I was looking at this, there's so much of, and there's so many. It's 80s movies, guys, 80s movies, and there's so many great movies. Like, I mean, I'm like, oh man, I got to watch that movie now, and like, there's a lot of good movies. So I want to add that this is our opinion. Our opinion.
Yes. But so welcome to another episode of Loud, Loose, and Laughs. We're going to exit stage left today and talk about some movies, mostly the 80s. I am Doug, and this is John Bender joining us today. You all might know him as Judd Nelson, but he went by John Bender in the Breakfast Club. Okay, no, it's Rich. It's Rich.
I was doing the best I could. The turnaround hat, the flannel shirt, the blue jean jacket, white t-shirt, going the 80s as much as I could.
Well, I was gonna go with a button-down white shirt and my underwear, but I didn't think it would really
Risky
work
Business,
very
great
well.
movie, Risky Business. But you know what, Doug? I honestly, I thought I didn't even tell you I was dressing up as an 80s character, but I really fully anticipated to see you in a full Batman outfit, and I'm kind of mad that you're not. I'm kind of mad that you're not in a full Batman.
Well, hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Was Jeopardy in the 80s? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, but that's not a movie. It's a game show. So as Doug goes and gets dressed. Uh-oh, here we go.
I'm sorry. Were you looking for somebody else? Doug's not here right now. He had to take a phone call.
That's better, and I think you should wear that the whole show today. But
Okay, I can try. I don't know how well that's gonna go because hold on, let me put on my bat goggles.
maybe take the mask off and get back center in the camera because you're off base
Okay.
again. And
All
where?
right.
And where? And where is
Well,
where?
you know how it is, man. When you got to you got to get your laundry out and it's laundry day, and with having everybody over, my cape is still hanging out to dry. So,
This town needs an
unfortunately, the Batman movie, the only Batman movie. Well, no, there's
Hey
several,
Doug,
but
can I ask you a question?
yes.
You ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?
What do you mean? What do you mean I made you? You made me.
So Batman.
Fantastic movie. So I got to throw the controversy right out of the gate. I'm going to hit you with this one hard. What is your
I feel it.
favorite movie from the 80s?
I feel it coming. You want me to do my favorite movie of the '80s?
I'm asking you what your favorite movie. Because I mean, I put a list together, but I put a
No, I
list
didn't.
together of like all the different genres.
Yeah, and I like
So,
that. I saw that list. Um,
and you know how
trying
hard that is to do?
I saw that list and I want to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I saw that list and I was like, oh, that's cool. Hey, I don't know if you remember this. Man, it would be super hard for me to say my favorite movie of the '80s, but definitely one of my favorite movies of the '80s came in 1986. And I don't know if you recall this, but our brother was in the Navy. Um, you know, after high school and all that, and he graduated in '86. Then he went into spring. He went into basic training. He came home. I think it was the Christmas of that '87, maybe, I guess, I don't know. And he brought us a VCR home. And
Oh
one
my
of the
gosh, yeah.
in the movie, I think he only had one movie with the VCR. Do you know what it was?
I cannot remember. All I remember is that I'm almost sure he paid almost 400 and something dollars for this VCR
Yeah,
back then because it was like the first VCRs
he
out on
was
the
good.
market.
He'd gotten out of his basic training in San Diego, and he was doing his Great Lakes training in Illinois. And he came home and he brought us a VCR. And actually, this is the only time I ever remember actually ever doing this on a VHS tape or a movie. Dad, mom, all three of us sat down. We watched Top Gun.
Was it? Dun dun da 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 da
Yeah,
da da da.
yeah, Top Gun.
I'd
So,
play the music, but apparently it won't play.
although I have like
Copyright and all.
I have another 50 of them that I liked, I'd say that was one of my favorite
You
movies
know,
in the '80s.
I could have wore my Top Gun shirt that I bought, but Gina took it over and she wears it now. So I didn't even think I could have grabbed that one.
Great
But
movie.
yeah,
I mean,
man, you know what I remember? I remember that weekend we went up to Harl's Grocery and we rented a ton of movies that
yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
And we spent the whole weekend watching movies.
But I think he had bought Top Gun.
Yeah,
So we watched that first, and that
but
was great.
I remembered that I remember us up there looking at movies and thinking, should we get this one? Is Dad gonna freak out if we bring this one home because it says it's rated R? Or...
Hey, so you asked me. Let me ask you. Your
Oh,
favorite '80s movie. Tell it to me.
my favorite '80s movie. I mean, of course, you named it already. You asked me, and I wore it. Batman.
Oh yeah,
It's got to
I
be.
I
It's got to
fully
be Batman.
anticipated you were going to go with a different one.
Really? Well, I'll tell you. I made a list and I looked at several of them. But I mean, it's really tough. And I've got several favorites in different genres. In different genres, like I said, I made the list, but I'd probably have to go with Batman. I mean, what were you thinking I was going to say?
I thought you were gonna pick your favorite Christmas movie of all time as one of your favorite 80s movies of all time.
Well, that's my favorite Christmas movie in the 80s. Yeah. Yeah. And we can talk about that. I don't have any problem talking about Die Hard. Here's the kicker. Last year, of course, Christmas starts rolling around, so I decided to watch Die Hard. And I thought I had bought it and that I had it um, on my Voodoo, and I didn't. So I went ahead and bought the whole 5 of them on Voodoo.
Oh,
And
nice.
then I happened to come downstairs and I was doing some stuff, watching my big TV down here, and they're set in a DVD box, Die Hard 1 through 5. But I only have a Blu-ray player down here, and they were only on DVD, so now I own them on, and I can watch them.
Nakatomi Tower.
So.
John McClane.
Yeah, the best Christmas movie ever.
Yippee-yi-yay.
And it came out in the 80s.
Yippee-yi-yay.
So, I did a little research because you sent me a website and it had like a list of what, the top 100 or something movies.
Yeah.
And so I kind of bounced around several different websites. And I found, which I like, IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? I really like that. So IMDb.
Doug Ford. I like it.
I mean, I looked and their number one pick was Raging Bull. I've never seen it. I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never watched the actual whole movie.
Yeah.
And it came out in the 80s.
And there's a ton of movies that came out in the 80s, but yeah, that was a good movie. But mine and your favorites and people that are listening to this, yeah, we're all gonna have different ones. We're all gonna have different. The 80s gave us
yeah.
things. What I liked about that article I sent you with the Rolling Stone thing, of course, they said that decade gave us the Reagan administration's Rubik's Cubes, the Reflex, Run DMC. It gave us a lot of great stuff. But there was a steady. I liked it when it said this: if you went to the movies regularly, you were blessed with a steady diet of horny teens, killer robots, homesick extraterrestrials, raging bulls, road warriors, cops, and crooked team-ups, and more dystopian visions of the future than you could shake a time-traveling DeLorean at. I mean,
that kind of sums up the 80s.
Yeah.
And Rolling Stone, they said the number one song was "Do It Right" or "Do the Right Thing," "Do the Right Thing," which was a Spike Lee. Yeah, their choice for number one was "Do the Right Thing."
Rolling Stone, out of those things I just mentioned a minute ago, too, also said that 3 of those things were really great. And I don't want to turn this into a political conversation, but they're fully liberal over there at Rolling Stone, and they were talking about the Reagan administration not being great. But let's move on from that. So let's talk about some more.
So I found another one, and it's called Flick Chart. And Flick Chart shows Empire Strikes Back as the number one movie. And I through the Flick Chart website, I was really impressed because they went with Raiders of the Lost Ark for number 2 and Return of the Jedi for number 3, and then number 4, which you just mentioned, Back to the Future with that flying DeLorean.
Dude,
so there seemed to be a little bit more in tune with, I guess, me in the opinion of what's your favorite 80s movie, whereas the Rolling Stones and IMDb, they had some that I don't think I'd even heard of in the 80s.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's going to have their own opinion, McFly. Come on, McFly. McFly.
Listen, Goose.
No, let's keep it on one for a minute. Like, Back to the Future, that was another one of my favorite movies, man. I was like, oh, this is cool. And we're thinking at that point, I'm like, hey, maybe they'll have some time traveling car in the future where we can actually do this, Like, who didn't see that movie and have that conversation afterwards and say, like,
listen,
hey, DeLorean, who didn't want to buy a DeLorean? Dude, I just sent you a picture of a DeLorean the other day because I saw it in Castle Rock here in Colorado for
yeah.
I want to go buy the DeLorean still. Like, hey.
And they're making them again. Now they're making them again.
Doug, that was the era. That movie came out in the era of malls. Malls were hot.
Yeah.
It had scenes in the mall. Jordache jeans were being worn. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Huey Lewis.
Dude, 88 miles an
It's
hour
the
and he
power
ends
of
up
love.
88 miles an hour and he ends up in a field of trees where now there's a mall.
There
Yeah.
was so many. That soundtrack was so great. There was so Earth Angel, Earth
Earth
Angel.
Angel,
And then when he's playing Johnny B.
will
Good,
you
he's going
be
all crazy.
mine?
He's going all crazy with the Johnny B.
Hey,
Good rap,
Chuck, Chuck,
He's like,
you got to hear this.
Chuck, you gotta hear this. Come on, man. We got.
Your kids will like it.
Everybody's you might not like that, but your kids will like it. So Marty McFly, man, Doc
Marty
Brown,
McFly.
Christopher
Dude,
Lloyd was great in that.
Best, hands down, best sci-fi to me movie out there was
Sci-fi?
Back to the Future. Well, I listed it as sci-fi because, it's talking about time travel and everything like that. So I kind of called it a sci-fi movie. And when I looked at a few of the websites, it was listed as a comedy / sci-fi.
What was that line?
I call it
more of a comedy movie. What was that line? Because who didn't like Michael J. Fox? In the
Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in the future, boy?
What was the deal with the life preserver? They kept asking.
No, because he's wearing the
vest?
vest that looks like a life preserver back then.
I love vests. I love wearing vests.
You're just fresh off the boat there, son?
Exactly.
Hey, give me a Pepsi free. Well, ain't nothing free here, boy.
That's great.
Just give me a tab. Well, you ain't ordered nothing yet.
I love that movie.
Hands down, great movie.
Great movie. What's another favorite? What's your favorite?
Oh,
what's your favorite comedy?
By all hands down, nobody could touch it. This is my true opinion. I have a very close second, but I'm going to go with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, darker shade, darling, darker shade.
Yes.
All those.
Yes. Why are you still here? Go.
Central Parking for address. What a mess. I confess. Dude, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies, man. Hey, you know what? You know why?
Wait, my.
Abe Froman, dude. The Sausage
King
of Chicago.
Sausage King of Chicago.
Hey, who didn't watch that movie? Because I did this. Like, my next time I think I went to Red Lobster in St. Louis, I was like, I have a reservation for Abe Froman.
Abe Froman. Sausage King.
I mean, did you do that? I did that. I got to admit, I did that.
When Cameron was in Egypt land, let my Cameron go. I'm not trying to say Cameron's tight, but you could take a piece of coal and shove it up his butt, and in 2 days you'd have a diamond.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great movie.
But that poor Ferrari.
It was all about how you could skip school at that point. Like after you watch that movie, that movie probably made more people skip school than what was happening.
And I see it as a skip school movie, but I more saw it as a freedom movie.
Yeah.
Life passes you by, man.
Yeah. Shake it up, baby.
Yeah. So it was the.
I love the float scene when he's doing dog.
Oh.
Check, and his dad's up there in the office, moving. And,
looking down.
Yeah.
When his dad sees the ball game too, and he's there catching the ball.
Right.
But cool. the way I saw it was, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop around and look once in a while, you could miss it.
Right.
And that's what it was. To me, it was about life. It was about actually enjoying life. And, we talked about that on our vacation podcast and work-life balance. And he had a school-life balance, and it was more life than it was school. I can't even remember how many days that he missed.
Oh, I forgot what they said in the movie.
My sister gets a car, and what do I get? This computer. And while he's in there changing all the school records.
Matthew Broderick had some great movies, and I always loved it where he would do the stop and look at the camera and all that.
Oh, right. I know. The fourth dimension broke. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, he comes
you're
out and
right.
says, "What are you all still doing here? Go, just go." So yeah,
And right,
fantastic movie.
it's funny, we keep coming back to this little theme, like when we were talking about the job thing, and you said maybe kids aren't getting it right nowadays with change and stuff. And maybe what you just said there, I just saw a buddy of mine put up the other day. There's some cuss words in this, and I won't say them. But a buddy of mine put up a quote the other day that said, "It blows my mind how many people just don't effing get it. We get this one brief but beautiful ride, and that's it. There's no rewind button, no do-over. If this is not the life you want to live, effing stop. Go in another direction. Do this as many times as you want. It takes to live that life that you want." And we've said that, do what moves you. And you know
Do
what?
what moves you.
I'm talking about 80s movies still. Abe Froman was doing what moved him in that movie. Great movie.
Hey, and not only that, Ferris Bueller was, be a Ferris Bueller. Maybe that's what you need in life. Well, I'm not telling kids go skip school. Don't do
Somebody said they saw him at Baskin Robbins the other
that.
Yeah. Awesome movie.
Bueller.
Doug, another
Bueller.
80s movie.
Bueller.
The 80s brought us a lot of Eddie Murphy, funny guy. And Beverly Hills Cop. Love that movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could say
Dun 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 dun.
comedy drama? Dun 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 dun. What would you call that? Comedy drama?
I think. See, I would call that a comedy drama. See, my second best one after Ferris Bueller's.
Axel Foley. Hey,
Well,
dude, there was a
and
lot
there's rumors. There's actually rumors there's going to be a new one coming out, Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, it's supposedly in the works.
Dude, that brought us some great 80s songs. The Heat Is On was on that. The Neutron Dance. Nasty Girl.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, we might have to do a podcast on the best 80s music. Because, I mean, every movie you can think about from the 80s was just jam-packed with fantastic 80s
and that's
music.
What, a lot of times I'll hear that, like, I shouldn't probably be singing it, but like we were talking about Breakfast Club a little bit ago, but, every time I think of Breakfast Club, I automatically think of, don't you forget about me. Don't, like, I'm always like, it's a song that flex that movie for me, or like takes me back to that movie. So,
side note, back to our first reference in the very beginning of Top Gun. I just learned this the other day from our good friend George C. that the soundtrack to Top Gun is one of the very few soundtracks that didn't have all the songs from the movie in it. And one of the top songs that did not have on there, "You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips." Unchained Melody from the Righteous Brothers. It was not on there.
And that's like one of the greatest scenes of the movie.
just a side piece of information, completely off topic, but I had to throw it out there.
I think
because I did not know that, and I learned it.
Goose, I think she lost it. Oh no, she did. No, she lost it. Oh no. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, and that's one of the few that had a follow-up movie that was just phenomenal. But that's a whole nother century.
So we talked Christmas movies, like your favorite Christmas movie be Die Hard. The only other 80s movie I remember that was like a Christmas movie was like The Christmas Story. And that was a good movie too.
Hold on a second.
You'll shoot your eye out.
I have never watched that movie.
Good movie. You should watch it.
I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. Well, you should do it. It's a good one.
But really, dude, you're missing one of the best Christmas movies after Die Hard.
Die Hard 2?
No. A Christmas Vacation.
Oh, gosh, I am.
1989.
That's one of
right there at the end.
That's one of Steph's favorite movies. Yeah, love.
Right at the end. Wait, one of Steph's favorite movies, and we need to cut that. We need to edit this. Let's take it.
We watch that every year. I can't.
Oh, I do too. Every single year I have to watch that. But yeah, that would probably be up there in tops for me on a Christmas movie,
Right.
Christmas Vacation. But I was going to say, so Ferris Bueller being my number one, my number two comedy one was probably John Cusack in Better Off Dead. I
$2. I want my
Two-
$2.
I want my $2. Here we are, where Lane Wilson pulls up to the spotlight to take the run. The two Asian guys that one talks like Howard Cosell the whole movie,
Right.
and they're trying to race him all the time. But yeah, that one hit home for me. I like that movie too. But
Dude, there's been a lot of, I mean, like, there's so many guys, it's just hard to stop. You know, like,
you
you could go on for days here.
well, you said Beverly Hills Cop for drama comedy,
Yeah.
and I went with Princess Bride.
Oh, another great movie. I love that movie.
Inconceivable.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
that's another movie that I've probably watched, you know.
Andre the Giant. He could not remember his lines, so they gave him lines that would rhyme. That character didn't have lines that would rhyme. They kind of started that one with him. That was I mean, I watched that with my kids, my daughters,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm the same way, man. If it's on, I'm gonna watch it. You know, if I've got a few hours to kill and I'm sitting there flipping through the TV and I see Princess Bride on with commercials, I'm still gonna watch it, you know.
Right. No, I like that movie. How do they say, instead of saying I love you, they say um
As you wish.
as you wish, yeah. As you wish.
As you wish.
I used to use that on lines for, girls back after that time, as you wish. back in back in my 80's days.
I'm looking for the six-fingered man.
When I look like this right here.
I'm looking for the six-fingered man.
Right, right. Doug, what about
My name is Montoya.
what about I mean, there's a lot of like a lot of romantic movies too in the 80's, and like, but one of my
Rom-coms.
What, no, I don't know if you even call it rom. Yeah, kind of rom-coms. Yeah, but one of my favorites was Say Anything with Lloyd Dobler.
Again, yeah, John Cusack as
Peter
Lloyd Dobler.
Gabriel in your eyes.
Oh yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Here's a little story. I don't know if I've ever even shared this with you, but when my daughter's husband, when Shelby's husband Matt proposed to her, we were in Florida on the beach late in the evening. He left her all kinds of clues on where he was.
Yeah.
And she went to go find him. And when she got to the beach, he was behind this great big bush, and he walked out from behind it playing the Peter Gabriel song.
In your eyes.
I want to do that.
I want to do that. But my
favorite
part of the movie, I think I've said it to you before, but I got to read it. I got to read it off here. I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
So, they're at the dinner, and I guess Diane's dad's asking him what does Lloyd want to do with his life? And he's like, well, I don't want to sell anything, I don't want to buy anything or process anything, and as a career, and I don't want to sell anything bought or processed or buy anything sold or process anything sold, bought or processed or repair anything sold, bought or processed. As a career, I don't want to do that. So I love that line. Yeah.
Dude, the dry humor was amazing.
Great movie. Yeah.
Well, now, was Say Anything, was that the one where he drew the characters and they would come to life in his thoughts?
No. That's
High Fidelity,
right?
No, that was it High Fidelity?
Wait, what year was High Fidelity? Because I forgot about that. And that's another John Cusack. We can't get off John Cusack here.
I'm telling you. I'm
gonna look that
up. Bouncing around from one to the other while you look that up. Yeah, I don't.
That's way later. That's 2000. So
okay, yeah.
But that is another great John Cusack movie, though. But let's stick to the 80's. What about Beetlejuice, Doug? I hear they're making another remake of that.
Yep, coming out with a new one.
What's up?
And okay, so here you
That was,
go. And I listed this. I
that
listed
was an
this as
all-star
a
cast in Beetlejuice, though. I want to say Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin before he was shooting people on set, and Michael Keaton.
oh
A
wow.
lot of big actors in that one.
You did not. You slipped that in there, but I heard it.
What?
Speaking of people getting shot, cowboy movie. Favorite
Cowboy.
cowboy movie.
I had that written down here somewhere. Young Guns, I think, is my.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I went with Young Guns. And I also either
Yep.
that or Silverado. That's your notes.
Yeah, I've got Young Guns written down for a good.
Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen's brother.
Right.
That was a good movie.
Uh,
Lou
all,
Diamond
Lou,
Phillips.
yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips tried to see it, and yeah, what was it they said? Do you remember what they said when Lou Diamond Phillips he's
Renegades.
gonna fall down the hill, and he says that like supposed to be some Navajo or
Oh,
word, and he didn't say that. He was actually saying, "Oh shit, no,
stop,
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 yeah,
stop.
stop,
Trying to
stop."
tell the horse to stop. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of that movie. That was a good movie. Yeah, I mean, I liked all those. Was there two, three of that Young Guns?
Yeah. And that was yeah, you had Emilio Estevez, Lou Diamond Phillips, several other characters, and then Kiefer Sutherland, Doc. He was Doc in it.
Right.
So Young Guns or Silverado with Kevin Costner was when he was really young. That was a good movie. But
We already
yeah,
kind of did. I missed it, but like one of my favorite movies of the '80s. That that was comedy. Another comedy, I guess, was Bull Durham. I love that movie.
oh, okay.
You
Well, now
had
see
Gilliam.
that to me, that's a sports movie. I don't call that
Yes,
comedy. I call
yes.
it a sports movie.
Okay, let's call it a sports movie. What year was that one?
I don't know. You looking it up?
I'll look it up.
While
But
you're looking it up,
dude,
so
you had the young Kevin Costner. That was 1988. They call it a sport comedy. Um,
yeah, see,
but
sports movie is what I call it.
yeah, I mean, you had the young Kevin Costner before his Yellowstone fame and all the other fame that he came into. But that was like one of his first.
Susan Sarandon,
Yeah, that was in Tim. What's
Tim Robbins, or Tim.
yeah.
What was his name? Is it Tim
Tim Robbins.
Robbins?
Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Robert Wool was in that. Yeah.
What are you wearing? I'm wearing her underwear. She said it would help me
Right.
concentrate.
Yeah. There's a lot of great lines. Man, that ball was hit so that
Don't
ball.
look at him, dummy. I just gave you.
It should have had a stewardess on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't look at him, dummy. I just gave you a hit. Now go.
Yeah. That was a good
Now,
movie.
see, I went with, for me, sports movie, I went with Color of Money.
Dude, meat. All right, meat. Color Money.
All right, meat.
Color Money's a great movie too. Like we know
Yeah.
because we love playing
And,
pool. We love that movie.
well, I did. And and not only that, okay, so I tell people this story a lot, and I get it wrong. I know I do. But I try to stay true to your word. Um, so Fast Eddie is in it, played by Paul Newman.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise plays the main character. And what was his name in real life?
That's
Vince. Is that his real name? Is that his name in real life? The guy that he played?
Oh, Vincent was his name in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because we met the guy down in Poplar Bluff. You remember when we went down there and shot pool that one time?
Well, he's not. I mean, Eddie Felson plays Minnesota Fats in the previous movie,
Right.
which is whatever. But I'm not 100% on that
Well,
one.
we were shooting pool in Poplar Bluff one night.
Yeah.
And there was the 8-ball bank champion that played there. He had his pictures all over the bar. And I think it was Steve Bridgman knew the guy that owned the bar. Johnny was with us. We went down there. We were playing in a tournament, and the guy closed the bar early. And he said a guy was coming around, and he said who the guy was. And I thought I remembered you saying that that was the guy from Color of Money who the movie was made on.
I don't
And
quite recall that. Was that. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
and we watched the guy beat that 8-ball bank champion like 14 games to 1. And the guy would shoot the ball, and he would walk just like Vincent did in Color of Money. He would walk to where the cue ball was going to stop and prepare his next shot.
Yeah, I do
So,
recall, but I don't. Yeah, I don't totally remember the the guy
yeah.
or his name. So,
I,
but
it's
what
been
else
a
you got,
trouble
Doug?
for
What
me.
else you got in movies? 80s movies.
Well, I would say for another sports movie, I'd probably, you went Bull Durham. I went Major League as
No.
a comedy sports movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Matter of fact, I watched it. What was it? Tuesday night. I was sitting in a hotel room traveling, and it came on about 7:30, and I watched the whole dang thing.
Wild thing.
You make my heart.
Yeah,
Walter Tevis.
that's a
Walter
funny movie.
Tevis. I
Charlie
had to look
Sheen.
that up.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, Matthew Broderick, all those guys were making a lot of, what I call
Yeah.
classic 80s movies.
Dude,
And
Wesley
I
Snipes.
was going, I was going through
Wesley
the list
Snipes.
today,
I've been
though.
cut already?
No, yeah, like I was going through the list, and you know, have you ever? I don't know how you feel about it, but like I love, Stand by Me. I loved Lost Boys, but I like Lost Boys. I thought that was a great movie, but like I can't hardly watch it. Like today, I couldn't put it up.
Really?
Yeah,
I still can if I'm in the right mood.
yeah,
But I think I've moved because I figure it's kind of, I consider Lost Boys like a horror genre. And my favorite horror movie in the 80s was A Nightmare on Elm Street.
right.
Um, I know they tried to remake it. I've never watched the remake. And I
Like,
think I probably only watched like the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets and then quit watching them because it just got dumb. But that first Nightmare on Elm Street I thought was amazing. And I know this is my opinion again. I take full responsibility, but I thought it was better than Friday the 13th. I thought it was better than Halloween. I just I was 100% on board with Nightmare on Elm Street. But to this day, Rich, I don't really watch any horror movies ever.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm not a big horror guy either. And so many people liked all the Star Wars movies, and I know I'm gonna get probably shot on this one, but I'm not a big like I've never been a big sci-fi guy, but I've never like yeah I watched
well,
all the
don't beat
Empire
around the bush, dude.
of the
Just say
Jedi,
it.
huh? Yeah,
Don't
I've
beat around the
watched
bush. Just
I've
say it.
watched all, and Luke, Luke, I am your father. But I'm not a big fan of the. I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry, George, Clay, everybody else out there that
Wait, are you a Star Trek fan?
no, no, I'm not.
Neither. So you
I'll
don't
tell you,
fit in
Doug, you want to know?
either.
You want to know who I was a fan of in the '80s? Also, I mean, other than Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise was in this movie. I think you mentioned it in your drama movies. Cocktail, love that movie. But you know what? Who I was a fan of?
Oh,
Hey, in Adventures in Babysitting, Cocktail. I was a fan of Elizabeth Shue. That's who I'm a fan
Elizabeth
of.
Shue,
Right?
dude. As a
No.
matter of fact, when I was talking to our good buddy George there about 80s movies, I almost tried to have him come over here for this because he got all excited when I told him we were going to be
You would
doing
have been,
80s movies.
you should have done that. You would
And
have been good with this one because he's a avid movie guy and
and we
music
brought up
and music
we
and
brought
movie.
up, yeah, because
Definitely
I
when
told
we
him
do the 80s,
Cocktail.
yeah, maybe when we do the '80s songs, we can bring them over.
Yeah, because I told him Cocktail and how that was a great movie, and he immediately he goes Elizabeth Shue, and his eyes just kind of rolled back, and I thought he was going to pass out on me. It was like a young girl going woo at Elvis. Anyway, um,
He probably looked her up and went to the bathroom. Who knows? But
oh,
um, but Anyway,
But
back to
we started talking about all the different movies she had been in.
yeah.
And then I told him I watched that superhero, which is kind of dark. The superhero on Amazon Prime called The Boys, and she's in it. And he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." So yeah, Elizabeth Shue, man. Whoo.
Hey,
Yeah,
I did get to,
that's.
I did, go ahead.
I was gonna say that definitely Cocktail was one of my favorites as far as a drama
Oh
because
yeah,
it touched so many bases, man. I mean, it was light, dark, light, dark, light, dark.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You'd start
The
cheering and
bar
then you'd
scenes
go, "Oh,
when he's doing the poetry and standing up on the and all that.
yeah,
I'm like,
the bar, yeah."
yeah, it's some good stuff in that movie. But definitely I remember seeing that movie actually at the theater, which a lot of these we did because like we used to go to Bonterra Theaters. That's not open anymore still, is it?
Irene and Jewel. No, dude, it's all. Matter of fact, they just tore part of that whole plaza down, and they're building one of those. What do they call them? The Dollar Generals that have the groceries and everything in them. The little
What was we
markets, dollar market.
what what were we what was we paying like in high school like for movies? $1.75, dollar
Buck,
75
buck and a
cent.
half to buck 75.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I got to see a lot of them for free
yeah,
because Jewel and Irene. So Jewel, the big dude, you remember him? He's like six
yep,
five, bigger
yep,
guy, and little Irene. That they ran the place, but some of my friends, Dawn Spell was one of them. She worked there, and some of my other friends worked there, and they used to see movies all the time, and I'd get called before they were actually coming out, and they would be like, "Hey, you want to come see the movie?" And I'm like, "Sure." And there's times I'd go over there, and uh, Jewel was there, or Irene. Irene would come out and give me a great big hug, and I'd get free popcorn and everything. I mean, it was, dude, that was one of the best times of life right there, man.
yeah. I remember watching a lot of those movies, like you know, Ghostbusters. I think I saw that there,
Oh, dude,
which
Ghostbusters.
another great '80s movie. But
And you know what? That Frozen Empire just came out. And of course, the one right before it, Afterlife, they give the nod back to the original characters. And
yeah,
then this one really supports them. And I heard it's phenomenal. I haven't seen it yet, but
but
Ghostbusters, I mean,
yeah, been a lot of remakes on that one too. Like Ghostbusters
I've
goes,
been
but dude, the original
slimed.
nothing's better than the original one. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, uh, and those other guys,
Okay.
whoever they were,
Hey.
Harold, Ray,
Yeah.
somebody, whatever,
Yeah.
and
Harold Ramis.
and somebody else, and
Um,
what was it he said? What was it he said that when he was telling them, think of something that
the
because
next time someone asks you if you're a god, Ray, you say yes.
no, but what was it when they came up with the Stay Puft Marshmallow
Oh,
Man? Because they were asking them to think of something that everybody clear
no.
their minds or whatever. And
Everybody
like,
clear their minds. She
yeah,
says, choose your death. And they're like, everybody clear your mind. And all of a sudden you hear,
boom, boof, boof.
Ray, what did you do? I couldn't help it. It was in my head. It wouldn't go out. What's
Dude,
funny
yeah,
is they pay homage to that in the Afterlife one and in the newest one, Frozen Empire. They have a
uh,
bunch of the little ones, little marshmallow men running around biting people.
nice.
And
Those were some great, like Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray. You had John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Blues Brothers. That was another '80s movie. Great, another great movie. Another '80s movie.
well,
Awesome.
if you're going to throw that out there, then I got to do the common denominator, 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, and I got to go with Footloose.
But loose, I've got that written down somewhere. But I was just talking about Bill Murray, Caddyshack. I mean, who hasn't seen that one? So
Yeah, yeah.
there's like
And in Caddyshack, that Bill Murray ad-libbed 90% of that.
did you really? No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his character was just going to have a little bit, and they liked it so much they started giving him more. And another thing about that I read was, and this is something I read a long time ago, and when our buddy George and I were talking, he was like, "Yeah, 100%." And I've heard several other people say they read that too. Chevy Chase and Bill Murray did not get along, and if you watch, they're only in one small scene together in that whole movie. because Chevy Chase did not want to be in a scene with Bill Murray, and it was all
I've
over
heard,
Saturday Night Live.
I don't know for sure, but I've heard like Chevy Chase is probably. I would imagine. I would think Chevy Chase was the problem there. Do you did it say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said that when Bill Murray came on to Saturday Night Live, that Chevy Chase felt like Bill Murray was trying to steal his limelight. And apparently, another thing somebody told me was, and I didn't know this, haven't looked it up, so please don't hold me to it. But apparently, Bill Murray punched him when they were on Saturday Night Live.
Ooh.
And so when that Caddyshack came out, they did not. Chevy Chase did not want Bill Murray in it, but he did such a good job as you're. Here, go get your gopher. I'll get him. Go down there and I'll flush him out. That's what I do. Hmm. And then
Yeah.
you also had Rodney Dangerfield in that, man.
Oh yeah.
Hey, golf clubs for everybody. But
What else you
definitely a
got
good
on your
movie.
list that you want to talk about? Like for
Oh, Goonies. The
Goonies?
Goonies.
Yeah.
All time. I mean, one of the best. You can't talk about 80's movies without bringing up the Goonies, dude.
Right.
You
I
know?
kind of put. I kind of link all those movies together, like the Goonies, Stand by Me, maybe The Outsiders, like you know all that cast of
Yeah,
characters, and you had a lot going on.
yeah, yeah.
So
But so I was saying Footloose. Now, Footloose soundtrack, phenomenal. I mean, it's so catchy. You can't not, you know, want to dance. And you got to get footloose.
cut
I mean,
loose, kick off the Sunday shoes. But
I mean, how do you not, right? I mean,
right,
but I would also say so. I looked at this as not a, I guess you could call it a cop movie. I listed it as a thriller because as I did some research, it said it was more in the thriller bracket. But what about bringing up our favorite guy here again, Kevin Costner,
Kevin Costner,
Untouchables,
yeah,
Untouchables,
and Sean's in that as
and a
well.
little bit of Sean Connery,
Sean Connery is in that. No, that
Sean
that
Connery.
you
The
got
scene where he
gangsters, you got Al Capone, you got gangsters, you got there was a lot of good
Dude,
stuff in that movie.
the
I like.
scene where Sean Connery picks up the guy that's already dead, sticks the gun in his mouth, and shoots him, and the guy's like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, classic.
Oh, but yeah,
Lethal,
that one,
Lethal
Lethal
Weapon,
Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
Oh,
Mel Gibson.
I'm too old for this. Danny
Mel Gibson,
Glover.
Danny Glover. You know,
Yeah,
I like the. Was that the first one that they have the toilet scene where Danny Glover's on the toilet and they've got to defuse the bomb?
yeah.
It also
Martin
nailed it. Was that? Did they say? Yeah, when he shoots
Riggs.
plastic.
Yeah, Riggs comes up and goes, "What are you doing?"
Mel Gibson was great in that. So it's like coming off like he lost his wife or whatever, right? So he
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
So he's a little
then he gets
crazy.
partnered. Yeah, then he gets partnered Martin Riggs and Roger
Well, I mean,
Murtaugh. Murtaugh
like
and
yeah, Murdoch,
Murtaugh.
Murdoch and
Murdoch.
Murdoch
Something
and
like that.
Riggs.
Can they work
And
together?
and like in one of the beginning scenes, he's standing there trying to buy, I guess you could call it a Christmas movie because he was trying to buy some Coke from guys selling Christmas trees.
Right.
And he's like, I don't remember what they told him, whatever price it was. He starts digging change out of his pocket, trying 3 bills. Okay, hold on. I think I got that. And he does the whole slapstick comedy of the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Yeah. He played, I mean, he nailed it, dude. And Danny Glover is being the guy next to him that's trying to do everything right, just trying to make it to retirement. Doesn't want to be shot at, doesn't want to shoot anybody. He's just
Yeah,
trying to make it to the end.
yeah, and that did so good. How many did they would they end up with 3 or 4 movies out of that or
Oh, four, yeah.
the
And then
franchise? Yeah.
and then it and then they went to a TV show with different characters. They liked it so much.
Right.
But you had Gary Busey in it before he lost his mind.
Right.
I don't know, he might have always lost his mind, but so yeah, that was a good movie, man.
there's so many of them. I mean, you got
Dude,
Indiana Jones came out in that was
yep,
first.
yep. Dun
Crocodile
dun
Dundee.
dun 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 dun. Dun,
Rocky
dun,
Balboa
dun.
was another big movie. You know, in the
That's not a
80s.
knife, mate. This is a knife.
You do that really well. Gremlins. What about that one? Like,
Oh, yeah, I miss
there's,
Gremlins, man. I didn't even think
there's
about Gremlins.
yeah, there's so many. Eddie
Dude,
Murphy, like I said, he had he had Beverly Hills Cop was 48 hours in the 80s.
I think so. Let me
Trading
look it up.
Places was. Coming to America was.
Yeah.
So like Eddie did well in the 80s. A lot of great Eddie Murphy movies. I looked up, Doug. I looked up the highest grossing movies for the 80s. Did you look at that?
No, I did not.
So
December.
I
Oh,
don't,
wait, real
I
quick,
don't even
real
know.
quick. 48 hours, 1982, December 8th.
Yeah, there we go. I love that movie as well. Another great one. They're all great in the 80s. But I wonder if people did this like in the 60s or 70s when they grew up, or 50s. If, like we grew up in the 80s, so like we think all these movies are just like freaking classics because they are. But I wonder. So highest grossing movies, and I don't think we've mentioned this movie yet. E.T. 1982.
Wow.
I wasn't a big super fan of. Yeah, like dude, I wasn't a big fan of E.T. I was a big fan of Drew Barrymore when she grew up. Um, so a little bit later in life. But I wasn't a big fan of the E.T. I didn't really like. It wasn't my thing. But Indiana Jones was number two. So you got E.T. number one. Indiana Jones in 1989 was the second highest grossing movie.
Wait, which Indiana Jones? Was it the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I think the Raiders of the very first one. Is that
okay? So yeah, that's
and
it.
then
Dun, dun, dun,
and then
dun.
your movie, Batman,
I'm Batman.
1989, another great.
Did you ever
Michael,
dance with the devil by the
that
pale
was with Michael
moonlight?
Keaton, right?
Yes, Michael Keaton,
Michael Keaton
the
had a lot
true
of
Batman, the original. Well,
yeah.
Technically not, but I call it that because it was in
Beetlejuice
my time.
Batman, and he's coming out. Yeah, we said he's coming out with another. I think he's going to be in the next Beetlejuice. But
Yes.
yeah. So and then number 4 on this list, we haven't talked about this movie, but we have talked about the guy because he's in like 87 movies in the 80s, and he's still making good movies, and he still likes like he did in the 80s. Tom Cruise, Rain Man. Rain Man was number 4.
Rain Man. Rain Man. Wow.
Hey, Doug, you got to do it for me. Do it for me to drive with me.
Yeah, Dad lets me drive in the driveway on Sundays. Yeah. Gotta watch Wapner. Gotta watch. Those are my underwear.
A very good driver.
My underwear come from Kmart. I'm a very good driver. Yeah. 262 toothpicks on the floor. Yeah.
I mean, you love the guy, hate the guy, or whatever you want to think about the guy. But Tom Cruise made some killer movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then number 5 on this list, and I stopped there. They had like the highest 47. But number 5 on the list, Back to the Future 2, not the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
The follow-up.
The follow-up.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, and I was just kind of looking through here, and dude, we there's so many, and I know we've been going on for about 53 minutes here, but Full Metal Jacket.
53.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket, dude. What about the Terminator? We never even talked about the Terminator.
I've got the Terminator written down. I've got Breakfast Club, like we talked about. Full Metal
Yeah.
Jacket. Like George, get George to quote you some of the quotes out of Full Metal Jacket because he likes that. But,
dude, he knows it. I think from beginning to end, doesn't he?
I love
Scarface.
I love that movie.
Scarface.
It's classic. Scarface, classic movie.
Dude, Airplane.
Flashdance.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Airplane.
1987.
Hey, excuse me, I speak Swahili.
Hey, 1987. Predator.
Hilarious. You
Predator,
couldn't put Airplane
man.
out. Doug, you couldn't put Airplane out today. They wouldn't accept it.
It's like Blazing Saddles.
Right? Too much comedy.
Aliens, Predator. I mean, a couple more of them that came out.
Dude, did we mention Highlander? One of my favorites.
No, dude. There can be only one. It's better to burn out than fade away.
Speaking of fire, Satan or burn out, St. Elmo's Fire, another good one.
Oh, St. Elmo's Fire, right. And hey, listen, I'm going to probably upset a lot of people if I don't say this, which came out in 1984. This is Spinal Tap. And am I hearing the rumor right? Are they coming out with another one?
I don't know, but maybe, hopefully not. But
Hey, there's a
hey,
lot of people that love that movie,
no, I
man.
like
Come
Spinal.
on.
No, that was bad. But speaking of movies like that, off bands and other stuff, Purple Rain. Come on, Prince had his acting debut in the
Yeah.
80s.
All right, yeah, Purple Rain, a musical movie, whatever you call it.
Another
Yeah.
musical movie, Dirty Dancing. You know, like
Oh, Dirty Dancing, man, I
great
love that. I had
movie.
that soundtrack. Patrick
It's
Swayze actually sang a song on that soundtrack.
Patrick
What
Swayze.
about
Gone too
what
soon.
about our boy we haven't talked about, Mr. Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society? Got a
Oh,
little
that's good.
serious there.
Good movie. Good movie. Good movie.
And didn't Dead Poet Society, was that the one that had Ben Affleck in it?
No,
He looked
that
really young.
Goodwill Hunting was I don't know. That's a '90s movie, I think. Or Goodwill Hunting was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's
Well,
uh,
I
first movie, and that's with Robin Williams.
no, 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 no,
But that's
dude.
not
I got to
90s.
call you.
What?
Let's see here. I got to look something up.
I don't think Ben Affleck's in Dead Poet Society. And I'll tell you, yeah, actually, Goodwill Hunting was '97. But Goodwill,
Yeah.
I'm actually friends with me and my son Ryan are actually friends with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
What now?
Yeah, we met him bowling one night in St. Louis, and we've been pretty much friends with him ever since.
With
Matt
who?
Damon,
Matt,
Matt Damon, Ben Affleck.
you?
Call your nephew Ryan. Call your nephew Ryan, or text him right now. He'll tell you all about it. But hey, let's go back to '80s movies. And like, there's
I don't
other movies.
know, dude. I'm kind of hooked on that now. You met both of them?
Doug, let's stick to the program here.
I
I
can't,
gotta talk.
man. Now
I
I'm on
gotta
a whole
talk about.
different
Call your
podcast.
nephew. Call your nephew. He'll tell you all about it.
All
But
right,
I gotta tell
American
you
Werewolf
something.
in London.
Oh yeah, I gotta tell you something we haven't talked about. And this one is a classic, and I don't even know how we've gotten through 50 something minutes without talking about it. And you know, my boy Sean Penn plays a party animal surfer named Jeff Spicoli.
Hey, wait a minute. Did you hear that? That was my
Dude,
skull.
dude, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, dude. Come on.
All right, all right, all right.
BB Cates smoking it, Judd Nelson in that one, or Judd. I'm just sorry, Judge Ryan. What is his name?
Judge
Uh,
Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, great.
Who was also in Raising Arizona that
Totally
came out in the
awesome,
80s.
dude. Um,
You know,
yeah.
we spoke of Mel Gibson earlier in Lethal Weapon, but he also came out with Road Warrior too in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I've ever watched that one all the way through.
And we didn't mention this one, but what about Big?
Doug,
1988.
Doug, let me show you something. The very first movie that I wrote on my paper today for notes, just to remember. You got. Hold on, let me
Oh,
see if I can't. It's wait.
Tom Hanks.
Right? Can you see Big right there? Big, big.
Yep,
That was the very
yep,
first one I
Big
wrote.
with Tom Hanks.
I totally skipped over it, but the
Dude,
Zoltar machine. Hey, Doug, the Zoltar machine. I'm Wild Bill's grave here in Colorado. Wild Bill Hickok. Is he? I think it's him. Um, anyway, if you go to his grave here in Golden, there's a Zoltar machine, and
oh,
I was like, I took pictures of it. It was so cool. I was like, this is a Zoltar machine, because who didn't want? And I just, you know what I watched today, because I love this part, the piano scene in that movie.
oh, the
The
bouncing on the piano.
they're in the mall again, because you know 80s were all about malls.
Yeah,
Doing the chopsticks and all that on the piano thing, and um, yeah, that's one of my. I love that movie, because like, who didn't watch that movie? I don't know what year it came out.
I
But
believe it
who
was
did
1987, 88, 88.
88? So I was a junior. I graduated in '89, and so I was a junior then. Who didn't watch that movie though and like think, oh hey, I want to do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna get close to wrapping us up here, but I would be amiss if I did not bring up one other sci-fi. And I know you're not a Star Wars fan. I know you're not a Star Trek fan, Both of them had movies in the 80s, but surely you can get aboard with Spaceballs.
I've got that written down, bro.
Little John Candy and Give Me Some Paw.
I've got it written down.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, Rich, we could sit here probably for another, what, hour or two?
Yeah, Excalibur, one of my favorites. Red Dawn.
He's
Red
still
Dawn.
going, folks.
Yeah, Red Dawn, La Bamba. But you a
Yep.
lot of these you mentioned, but The Right Stuff, Wall Street, Poltergeist,
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
yeah, Mystic Pizza.
Oh, yeah, good one.
I mean, we could go all night here, man.
Rambo, First Blood.
Rambo.
I mean,
hey, Rambo. It looks like they have 30 tanks, 5 helicopters, 100 guys, infantrymen, coming at us with a couple ballistic missiles, and what do you want to do?
I got my knife.
It's like, Rambo, come on, man.
I got my knife. That's all I need.
Rocky was the first. When was the Rocky movies made? Dude, I'm hurting right now that we never said anything about a Rocky movie. We're talking about Sylvester Stallone now, and yeah.
Well, I don't know. Was it in the 80s?
The first one was 76, but like when was
Rocky okay.
2 with Mr. T? Well, Rocky 2 was 79, so we're not getting there yet. Rocky 3.
No.
Rocky 3, we got into the 80s in 1982. 1982. By that time,
yeah, so
and you know who he's fighting? Mr. T.
Yeah, so great 80s stuff, man. I mean, phenomenal. And dude, we didn't even touch the iceberg. I know there's so many, and I know a lot of you that listen to this, you're probably going to be, hey, you didn't say this, or hey, you didn't say that.
I hope if people are listening, if anybody ever listens, I hope that hey, put it in the comments, like, hey, what did we forget? You know,
right.
What did we miss? You know,
and let us throw an honorable mention out there next time we do a podcast, and we'll talk about what you say. And not that we'll make you famous, because we're just two old dudes sitting in a basement doing this. So, but when we do make it big, you can go back and you can show people one of these first videos, and you can say, "Hey, look, see, I knew these guys." Right?
Don't you forget
about me. All right. Well, with that,
he's holding up the fist at the end, and is that the song playing, or I don't remember. I haven't watched Breakfast Club in a long time, but is that the song that's playing, or there is a song playing that's a big 80s song? But
yeah, I don't remember what the closing song was.
Oh, I just I watched Pitch Perfect not too long ago, and like they were talking about that in that movie. But Pitch Perfect, not an 80s movie. But wrap us up, Douglas.
So yeah, in the end, John Bender's walking across the field. My boy right here, John Bender, you're seeing him right here in front of you. And he's walking across the field. He turns around, throws his fist up in the air, and the song playing in the background, Rich, is Simple Minds. Don't you forget about me. Title is actually Don't You with Forget About Me. So thank you all for listening. We hope you have enjoyed. We hope you've got something out of it. And we hope we are reliving. If you're our age, we hope you are completely reliving the 80s movies that you watched growing up, and that you want to go back and watch some of them again. And as Rich always says, don't forget to watch to the very end, because there's always something cool. Yeah. Do we have something cool for this one at the very end?
Just, what?
You know what? Check this out. Hold on. Here we go for the very end.
Nice.
So, homie went out and we got some vinyl stickers made, and they've got our websites, and they've got our picture on one of them. If you want to be cool, let us know. And I also got some for your laptops that you can put on your laptop, so when you have it opened, you can actually let people look at our website, so that you can get us out there. But we'll close with that. So see, if you don't watch to the end, you ain't gonna know that we've got all these stickers now. And guess what? There's some more stuff, some more merch that we're gonna start coming out with. And we're looking at a few things down the road to maybe run some little things to hand out some merch, or if we head down the path of getting subscriptions, that we might be doing some call outs and giving away free merch for those that subscribe. So there, Rich, there it is for the end. If you don't
Oh,
watch this part of it, they won't know.
they won't know.
And with that, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.